The galaxy was vast beyond measure, a sprawling web of stars and empires older than most civilizations could remember. Towering fleets cruised through nebulas. Vast cities floated in orbit around distant suns, and ancient treaties bound powerful species in a fragile peace. To the galaxy's great powers, Earth was nothing more than a dusty speck on the fringe, a backwater world filled with unruly humans struggling to survive. Deep within the marble blue planet's atmosphere, humanity was oblivious to the greater cosmos beyond. The air hummed with the chatter of cities, the distant roar of engines, and the countless lives entwined in the ordinary rhythms of everyday struggle. Yet beneath this seeming mundanity, a restless energy pulsed. Humans were restless creatures, driven by curiosity, ambition, and an insatiable hunger to push beyond their limits. Far above, in the silent void of space, an ancient probe drifted unnoticed. It was a relic of a civilization long gone, yet still functioning, designed to collect and analyze signals from uncharted systems. It had recently stumbled upon something unusual, a burst of chaotic, raw energy emitting from a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. The probe's sensors struggled to make sense of Earth's transmissions. The signals were noisy, unpredictable, full of contradictory data and strange bursts of emotion and sound. It picked up broadcasts of human music, news, arguments, and laughter, all jumbled together in a way no other civilization's transmissions ever had been. The probe's logs labeled the signals as primitive and disorganized, but the raw intensity caught the attention of those monitoring the outer rim. Within the towering halls of the Galactic Council, the ruling body of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful empires, the discovery was met with bemused dismissal. Ambassadors and generals laughed behind closed doors, convinced that this wild, chaotic species posed no threat. "They're like children banging on pots and pans," one remarked. "Let them play. They'll burn themselves out." But not everyone shared this smug certainty. A small faction of scouts and analysts argued for caution, sensing something deeper beneath humanity's ragged exterior. They pointed to the humans' remarkable adaptability, surviving in hostile environments, thriving in chaos, and showing an almost reckless willingness to defy the odds. "They are unpredictable," one scout warned, "and that unpredictability is dangerous." Back on Earth, humanity was inching toward a new horizon. After centuries of struggle and conflict, they were reaching outward, building their first space stations, sending probes to the Moon and Mars, and dreaming of stars beyond their grasp. The human spirit was like a wildfire, impossible to contain once sparked. In the cramped command room of the Earth Space Agency, Dr. Elena Cortez stared at the flickering screen showing the latest launch data. The rocket trembled on the pad, a fragile vessel carrying humanity's hopes and fears. Around her, engineers worked in tense silence, each heartbeat echoing the weight of what lay ahead. This wasn't just a mission. It was a declaration that humanity was ready to join the galactic stage, no matter how small or unprepared. Across the galaxy, the laughter of the great empires continued. But the seeds of change were already planted. Hidden in the hearts of humans was a spark, an ancient legacy forgotten by time but written in their DNA, a secret waiting to awaken. And when it did, the galaxy would learn why humanity was never meant to be ignored. The scout ship slid silently through the void, its sleek metallic hull reflecting distant stars. Inside, Commander Velik watched Earth grow larger on the viewport, a pale blue orb spinning in the black. This was supposed to be an easy mission. Observe, report, maybe nudge a fledgling species into submission. No challenge, no surprises. But the moment Velik's team began their covert surveillance, everything changed. From orbit, they watched as humans moved with strange energy, chaotic, raw, and utterly unpredictable. Unlike the disciplined drills and flawless formations the galactic fleets prized, humans fought with wild improvisation. They adapted on the fly, using their environment and whatever tools they had in ways no one expected. One small human resistance group had no sophisticated weaponry, only rusted rifles and homemade explosives. Yet they ambushed a well-armed corporate militia, disappearing into the ruins before reinforcements could arrive. The scouts' sensors captured the aftermath: scorch marks, broken tech, and no sign of the attackers. Velik's brow furrowed. They're like animals, but with the cunning of predators. The scout team attempted communication, sending peaceful signals, hoping to make contact and assert control. Instead, they were met with confusion and suspicion. A broadcast caught the scouts off guard, a human shouting orders, rallying others, their voice fierce with defiance. Suddenly, alarms blared. A squad of humans had detected the scouts' cloaked ship. From hidden bunkers, they fired improvised rockets, tracking the scouts' energy signatures with uncanny precision. The vessel rocked violently as several blasts found their mark. Evasive maneuvers. Velik shouted, gripping the console. The ship darted between debris and satellites, but the humans persisted, relentless in their assault. The scouts managed to break free, retreating faster than any had imagined possible. As they fled, Velik's mind raced. The humans were not just surviving. They were hunting now. Back on Earth, the attackers gathered around a crackling radio. Sergeant Malik wiped sweat from his brow, heart pounding. "We got him on the run. They didn't expect us to hit back like this." His team cheered quietly. They weren't soldiers of a grand empire. They were ordinary people fighting for survival. But in this moment, they tasted victory. Meanwhile, the scout ship limped toward the Galactic Council, battered but alive. Velik delivered a grim report. Humanity is nothing like we imagined. They're reckless, violent, unpredictable, and deadly. The council chamber erupted in debate. Many wanted to dismiss the threat, calling the encounter an anomaly. Others pushed for urgent action, warning that humanity's chaotic nature made them impossible to control by traditional means. Amid the heated arguments, a young analyst named Rena spoke calmly. "The humans don't just fight with weapons, they fight with spirit. Their unpredictability breaks our patterns. If we treat them like an insect to be crushed, we'll only drive them to grow stronger." Her words unsettled many, but planted a seed of fear. The galaxy's greatest powers prided themselves on control, order, and certainty. Humanity defied all of it. Back on Earth, life carried on, unaware of the storm gathering beyond the stars. Scientists celebrated new breakthroughs in propulsion and communication. Governments debated expanding space programs, and everyday people dreamed of the stars. But among them, a quiet resistance prepared, not just to survive the coming trials, but to fight like no other had before. Because when the hunters arrived, they discovered they were the hunted. The first human spacecraft broke through Earth's atmosphere, piercing the velvet darkness of space. It was a modest ship, nothing like the massive war vessels that patrolled the galaxy, but it carried something far more powerful: human will. In the vast halls of the Galactic Council, whispers grew louder. The primitive humans had launched a vessel capable of reaching the nearest star systems. It was a reckless, defiant act. Some members scoffed, dismissing it as a fleeting spark destined to burn out. Others watched with wary eyes, recalling the scouts' harrowing reports. On board the ship, Captain Amina Reyes stared out at the endless stars. Every heartbeat echoed the weight of their mission: to explore, to survive, and to show the galaxy that humanity would not bow. Behind her, the crew worked tirelessly. Engineers patching systems, scientists scanning for threats, and soldiers standing ready. The humans were outmatched. They had no fleets, no ancient weapons, and no grand alliances. But what they lacked in power, they made up for in ingenuity and sheer unpredictability. Their first encounter with the galactic powers came sooner than expected. A sleek cruiser, emblazoned with the insignia of the Zereth Dominion, blocked their path near the Alpha Centauri system. The Dominion was one of the galaxy's most feared empires, known for ruthless conquest and cold calculation. "Identify yourselves," came the cold, mechanical voice through the comms. Captain Rice straightened. "We are humans, from Earth. We seek peaceful passage and knowledge." The cruiser's captain laughed. "Humans, pathetic primitives. Surrender, and we may spare you." Rice tightened her grip on the console. "We will not surrender." The cruiser fired first. The battle was brutal but brief. The humans, using guerrilla tactics and unorthodox maneuvers, dodged the Dominion's advanced weaponry. Exploiting the cruiser's blind spots, they launched a surprise counterattack, disabling critical systems. The Dominion ship limped away, wounded and humiliated. News of the skirmish spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into stories, and stories became legends. Humans were no longer the galaxy's joke. They were a spark of rebellion lighting a fire in the hearts of many oppressed species. Back on Earth, the victory was celebrated, but there was little time for rest. The galactic powers would not forget or forgive so easily. More fleets would come, more threats would loom. But humanity had tasted something new, hope, and the thrill of defiance. Resistance cells formed on distant colonies and outposts. Humans trained not just to fight but to survive and adapt. Their tactics were unpredictable, mixing technology with raw instinct. They struck swiftly and vanished, leaving their enemies scrambling in confusion. At a secret base on Mars, Sergeant Malik coordinated the growing human resistance. "We can't win by standing toe-to-toe with them," he told his team. "We fight smarter, faster, and with everything they don't expect. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every corner of the galaxy that's been crushed under tyranny." His words ignited a fierce loyalty. Humans, and even some alien allies disillusioned with the empires, joined the cause. A rebellion was born, not just to defend humanity, but to challenge the galaxy's order itself. Meanwhile, in the shadowy corridors of the Galactic Council, fear turned to obsession. The elders debated sending extermination fleets, but internal politics and fear of igniting a wider war slowed decisive action. Among the council members, one voice grew louder. "Humans are unpredictable. Their chaos will consume us if we do not act swiftly." But another warned, "Underestimating their spirit is a grave mistake. They may be chaos, but chaos has a power we do not understand." The galaxy stood at a crossroads. On one side, ancient empires clung to power, fearing the unknown. On the other, a wild new force was rising, humanity, fierce and unyielding, ready to challenge the stars themselves. And the spark of rebellion was only beginning to blaze. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden in an ancient cave system untouched for millennia, a team of scientists uncovered something that would change everything. Dr. Elena Cortez led the expedition. She was a veteran archaeologist, fascinated by the origins of humanity and the whispered legends of forgotten civilizations. When the team unearthed a strange metallic artifact embedded in crystalline rock, their instruments went wild with energy readings unlike anything seen before. The artifact was small, no bigger than a fist, but it pulsed with a deep, rhythmic glow, as if alive. Strange symbols covered its surface, shifting and shimmering when touched. Elena's heart raced. This wasn't just alien tech, it was something far older, far deeper. Back at the research facility, the artifact was carefully transported to a secure lab. Specialists struggled to understand its purpose, running scans, attempting to interface. Then suddenly, it responded. A holographic projection flickered to life. An ancient star map, dotted with unknown systems and civilizations long extinct. Then came the revelation. A message, encoded in a language almost identical to an extinct human dialect. Elena whispered, "We were never alone. We are descendants of an ancient super-civilization, our ancestors engineered for survival, seated across the galaxy." The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. It explained humanity's rapid evolution, their uncanny adaptability, and the latent potential hidden in their genes. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council caught wind of the breakthrough. The factions that once dismissed humans as primitive suddenly grew anxious. If humans carried the legacy of an ancient power, their rise was no accident. It was destiny. The Zirith Dominion, eager to maintain control, sent agents to infiltrate Earth's research centers, seeking to steal the artifact or destroy it. But humans were ready. Elena and her team worked under heavy guard, racing against time. They developed a new technology, biotech interfaces that could sync with the artifact, enhancing human abilities beyond current understanding. Soldiers tested experimental suits that amplified strength and reflexes, while engineers unlocked energy sources capable of powering entire cities. The secret was out. Humanity was evolving into something new, something feared. In the outer systems, rumors spread like wildfire. Resistance fighters whispered of the ancient legacy, a power that could turn the tide against the empires. Some factions sought alliances with humans, hoping to share in the awakening. Others plotted to strike before the secret could fully manifest. On a distant moon, a clandestine meeting took place. Representatives from various alien rebel groups gathered around a holographic table, debating their next move. "This changes everything," said Tival, a grizzled warrior from the desert world of Karis. "If humans unlock the artifact's full power, the galaxy's balance will shatter." A silvery-eyed diplomat nodded. "We must stand with them, or be crushed by those who fear change." Back on Earth, Elena stood in the glow of the artifact, her eyes reflecting the pulsating light. "We are the sum of countless stars, billions of years in the making. This is not just survival. It's our destiny." As humans embraced their hidden heritage, they faced a new challenge: mastering the ancient technologies without losing themselves to the unknown. The artifact was a key, but what door it opened, no one yet knew. And somewhere, in the dark corners of the galaxy, old powers prepared to strike, desperate to prevent humanity's final awakening. The galaxy was no longer watching a primitive species rise. It was witnessing the rebirth of an ancient force. Humanity's true journey was just beginning. The galaxy was watching. But it wasn't just with fear or awe. Behind the polished halls of diplomacy and the glittering lights of starports, shadows moved. Hidden agents and saboteurs weaving webs of betrayal designed to stop humanity's rise before it could take flight. In the underbelly of a sprawling space station orbiting the gas giant Zephyron, an assassin named Kale prepared for his mission. Cold, efficient, and unflinching, Kale was a ghost, a weapon employed by the Zirith Dominion to cripple the human resistance from within. His target, Dr. Elena Cortez. The scientist had become more than a leader. She was the symbol of humanity's hidden legacy, the beacon lighting the way to a new dawn. Eliminating her could shatter the fragile hopes spreading through the stars. Kel's ship slipped silently through the station's docking bay. His infiltration was flawless. Security cameras looped old footage. Guards were distracted by stage malfunctions, and his nanotech cloak rendered him almost invisible. But as he moved closer to Elena's lab, he felt something unfamiliar, a pulse, a vibration in the air, almost like a warning. Inside the lab, Elena worked late into the cycle, her mind racing with breakthroughs and plans. Suddenly, the air shimmered. A faint distortion appeared near the entrance. She didn't hesitate. Reaching into her jacket, she pulled out a small device, a prototype pulse emitter designed to disrupt stealth tech. She activated it, and Cal's cloak flickered, exposing him for a brief second. That moment was all Elena needed. Alarms blared, and security teams stormed in. Cal slipped back into the shadows, but the warning was clear. Humanity was no longer just evolving. They were fighting back. Back on Earth, news of the attempted assassination spread quickly, uniting humans with a fierce resolve. "They want us afraid," Sergeant Malik told his team, "but fear is a weapon we'll turn against them." At the same time, spies within human ranks revealed themselves. Trusted allies turned traitors, feeding information to the empires, betraying plans, and safe havens. Trust became a rare commodity. One such traitor was Mira, a communications officer embedded deep in the resistance. She had once believed in humanity's cause, but grew disillusioned, seduced by promises of power and survival offered by the Dominion. But her betrayal came at a cost. The humans discovered her double game during a critical operation. Cornered, Mira had to make a choice: escape and condemn her former comrades or fight for a chance at redemption. The galaxy's political landscape twisted further. Some factions pushed for open war, demanding total annihilation of humanity. Others sought fragile alliances, hoping to harness humanity's unpredictable spirit before it was too late. Amid this chaos, humans learned to adapt beyond technology. Psychological warfare became a new frontier. Humans planted misinformation, spread rumors, and used the galaxy's own fears to their advantage. In one daring raid, human commandos infiltrated a Dominion fortress, releasing false orders that sent fleets careening into empty space, chasing phantom threats. The ripple effect shook the Dominion's grip on multiple systems. The galactic powers faced a dilemma: crush humanity with overwhelming force and risk igniting a rebellion that could spread like wildfire, or attempt fragile negotiations with a species they no longer understood. In secret chambers, some council members whispered of an ancient prophecy uncovered in long-forgotten archives, one that spoke of a chaotic force rising from the stars to overthrow the old order. Elena, aware of the galaxy's mounting pressure, stood firm. "We carry the legacy of stars," she told her team. "But our strength lies not in the power we wield, but in the spirit that refuses to break." The War of Shadows was only beginning. For every betrayal uncovered, new alliances formed. For every attack thwarted, new strategies emerged. Humanity was no longer just a flicker on the galactic map. It was a storm gathering strength, ready to break free. The galaxy's mighty fleets roared across the void, hunting shadows and ghosts. Yet, despite their power, they could not grasp what lurked beneath, an unseen force growing stronger with every passing day. On the fringes of the Andari sector, a secret human base thrived in silence. Hidden within a dense asteroid belt, it was a labyrinth of tunnels, workshops, and training grounds. This was the crucible where the next phase of humanity's evolution was forged. Captain Amina Reyes stood before a crowd of new recruits, humans and allied species alike. Their faces were a mix of determination and hope. They were the unseen warriors, trained in tactics unknown to the galaxy's greatest armies. "We fought battles they never expected," Reyes said, voice steady and commanding. "But now, it's time to become something more. Unpredictable, invisible, unstoppable." At her side, Sergeant Malik watched with pride. The resistance had grown beyond Earth's borders, gathering fighters from worlds long oppressed by the galactic empires. Together, they formed a new kind of army, not one built on overwhelming firepower, but on cunning, speed, and unity. Meanwhile, deep inside the Galactic Council's chamber, fear had morphed into obsession. The elders debated desperate measures, their voices sharp with frustration. Strike at their heart, demanded Lord Varric of the Zereth Dominion. Destroy their leaders. End this rebellion before it begins. But others cautioned restraint. If we attack without understanding, we risk rallying more to their cause, warned Councillor Sarian. Their strength is in their spirit and adaptability. We must find a way to divide them. Unknown to the Council, division was already seeping through human ranks, but not in the way the elders hoped. Humans were grappling with their own fears and doubts, questioning how far they could go without losing themselves. Dr. Elena Cortez, now a symbol of hope and unity, wrestled with the artifact's growing influence. The technology it unleashed was powerful, but unpredictable. Each step forward risked awakening forces they couldn't control. One evening, Elena gathered her closest advisors. "The artifact is more than a key, it's a test. We must master it without becoming slaves to its power." Her words resonated deeply. Humanity's greatest challenge wasn't just defeating external enemies. It was maintaining their identity amid transformation. Back at the asteroid base, Rise unveiled a new weapon, a stealth suit powered by bioadaptive tech derived from the artifact's secrets. It allowed soldiers to blend seamlessly with their surroundings, become nearly invisible, and react faster than the eye could follow. Recruits trained day and night, mastering the art of silent movement and lightning-fast strikes. They were no longer just fighters. They were ghosts. Their first mission: infiltrate a heavily fortified Dominion supply depot to cripple the enemy's logistics. Success would deliver a blow to the Dominion's war machine and inspire hope across the resistance. The night of the mission arrived. Under the cover of darkness, the stealth team slipped through shadows and sensors, bypassing patrols with eerie precision. Inside the depot, they planted explosives and downloaded critical intel before slipping away like phantoms. When the charges detonated, a shockwave rippled through the Dominion ranks. Starports lost supplies, fleets were grounded, and morale plummeted. Across the galaxy, whispers spread of the unseen, a force that struck without warning, vanished without trace, and refused to be crushed. In response, the Council authorized a new task force, a coalition of elite hunters specializing in tracking the invisible. Their mission: find the unseen, expose their secrets, and snuff out humanity's rising flame. But the more they searched, the more elusive the rebels became. And in the shadows of that endless hunt, humanity's true power grew, not from might, but from unity, cunning, and an indomitable spirit. The galaxy was no longer facing a mere rebellion. It was facing a storm it could not see coming. The galaxy held its breath. For months, the unseen had struck relentlessly, crippling supply lines, sabotaging fleets, and sparking uprisings on worlds long forgotten. The Galactic Council's elite task force hunted with unmatched fervor, but every lead dissolved into shadows. It was as if the very stars themselves had conspired to hide humanity's defiance. Captain Amina Reyes stood on the bridge of the stealth cruiser Silent Hawk, scanning for threats. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, betrayed no doubt. Behind her, the crew prepared for their boldest mission yet: a direct assault on the Dominion's command hub on Karis Prime. "This is more than a strike," Rice told her team. "It's a message. We show them humanity will not bow. We show them we are the storm." Sergeant Malik nodded, checking weapons and gear. "They think they can crush us, but every time they try, they only fuel our fire." As the Silent Hawk slipped through the atmosphere of Karis Prime, the city below gleamed with brutalist towers and sprawling military complexes. The Dominion's nerve center pulsed with life, an impregnable fortress defended by elite guards and sophisticated surveillance. Reyes and her team deployed in small units, ghosting through shadows and ventilation shafts. Their stealth suits rendered them near invisible, their movements synchronized like a deadly dance. Inside the command hub, alarms blared the moment the breach was detected. The Dominion's forces scrambled, but the unseen were already inside, disrupting communications, planting charges, and seizing critical data cores. In the chaos, Rise accessed the central terminal. Fingers flying over the console, she uploaded a virus designed to dismantle the Dominion's satellite network, blinding their fleets across multiple systems. Outside, Malik led a squad holding the perimeter, fending off waves of reinforcements with precise bursts of fire. Every second counted. As the virus took hold, the Dominion's global defenses faltered. Starships drifted powerless, weapons cooled, and command chains fractured. The tides of war shifted in an instant. Back in the Galactic Council, panic spread. The elders realized the rebellion was no longer a distant threat. It was a force reshaping the galaxy's very foundations. "Deploy the extermination fleet," Lord Varric ordered, voice cold and decisive. "We end this now." But not all agreed. Councillor Syrian urged caution. "If we crush humanity with brute force, we risk uniting all factions against us. We must find a way to negotiate, or risk annihilation." The Council descended into chaos as fleets prepared for war. Meanwhile, on Karis Prime, Reyes and Malik regrouped. The mission was a success, but victory came at a cost. Several of their best fighters lay wounded or lost, and the Dominion's retaliation was inevitable. Alina's research might hold the key, Reyes said, referring to the ancient artifact that had unlocked humanity's hidden potential. If we can harness its full power, we can turn the tide permanently. Malik grimaced. But every time we tap into it, the risk grows. We don't know what awakening it might bring. Alina herself, aboard the Resistance's flagship, worked feverishly. She had begun decoding the artifact's deeper secrets, energy patterns that resonated with human consciousness, capable of amplifying abilities beyond any technology. Her team theorized that the artifact was not just a tool, but a catalyst, one that could unlock latent potential in every human, turning ordinary people into something extraordinary. But the artifact's power was volatile. Improper use could cause devastating side effects, both physical and mental. As the Resistance prepared for the inevitable showdown, tension simmered. Would humanity embrace the artifact's gift and become the final boss the galaxy feared? Or would they lose themselves to a power beyond control? The answers lay ahead, in the coming battle that would decide the fate of stars. For now, the turning tide was clear. Humanity was no longer the hunted. They were the hunters. The galaxy held its breath. For months, the unseen had struck relentlessly, crippling supply lines, sabotaging fleets, and sparking uprisings on worlds long forgotten. The Galactic Council's elite task force hunted with unmatched fervor, but every lead dissolved into shadows. It was as if the very stars themselves had conspired to hide humanity's defiance. Captain Amina Reyes stood on the bridge of the stealth cruiser Silent Hawk, scanning for threats. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, betrayed no doubt. Behind her, the crew prepared for their boldest mission yet, a direct assault on the Dominion's command hub on Karis Prime. This is more than a strike, Reyes told her team. It's a message. We show them humanity will not bow. We show them we are the storm. Sergeant Malik nodded, checking weapons and gear. They think they can crush us, but every time they try, they only fuel our fire. As the Silent Hawk slipped through the atmosphere of Karis Prime, the city below gleamed with brutalist towers and sprawling military complexes. The Dominion's nerve center pulsed with life, an impregnable fortress defended by elite guards and sophisticated surveillance. Reyes and her team deployed in small units, ghosting through shadows and ventilation shafts. Their stealth suits rendered them near invisible, their movements synchronized like a deadly dance. Inside the command hub, alarms blared the moment the breach was detected. The Dominion's forces scrambled, but the unseen were already inside, disrupting communications, planting charges, and seizing critical data cores. In the chaos, Reyes accessed the central terminal. Fingers flying over the console, she uploaded a virus designed to dismantle the Dominion's satellite network, blinding their fleets across multiple systems. Outside, Malik led a squad holding the perimeter, fending off waves of reinforcements with precise bursts of fire. Every second counted. As the virus took hold, the Dominion's global defenses faltered. Starships drifted powerless, weapons cooled, and command chains fractured. The tides of war shifted in an instant. Back in the Galactic Council, panic spread. The elders realized the rebellion was no longer a distant threat. It was a force reshaping the galaxy's very foundations. Deploy the extermination fleet, Lord Varric ordered, voice cold and decisive. We end this now. But not all agreed. Councillor Syrian urged caution. If we crush humanity with brute force, we risk uniting all factions against us. We must find a way to negotiate, or risk annihilation. The Council descended into chaos as fleets prepared for war. Meanwhile, on Karis Prime, Reyes and Malik regrouped. The mission was a success, but victory came at a cost. Several of their best fighters lay wounded or lost, and the Dominion's retaliation was inevitable. Alina's research might hold the key, Reyes said, referring to the ancient artifact that had unlocked humanity's hidden potential. If we can harness its full power, we can turn the tide permanently. Malik grimaced. But every time we tap into it, the risk grows. We don't know what awakening it might bring. Alina herself, aboard the Resistance's flagship, worked feverishly. She had begun decoding the artifact's deeper secrets, energy patterns that resonated with human consciousness, capable of amplifying abilities beyond any technology. Her team theorized that the artifact was not just a tool, but a catalyst, one that could unlock latent potential in every human, turning ordinary people into something extraordinary. But the artifact's power was volatile. Improper use could cause devastating side effects, both physical and mental. As the Resistance prepared for the inevitable showdown, tension simmered. Would humanity embrace the artifact's gift and become the final boss the galaxy feared? Or would they lose themselves to a power beyond control? The answers lay ahead, in the coming battle that would decide the fate of stars. For now, the turning tide was clear. Humanity was no longer the hunted. They were the hunters.